Regue Chicken, an animated movie from 2015 that hails from the lands of Colombia. And let me tell you, this film is bursting at the seams with character designs and plot points. No, not like that. We got chicken UFC fighting, we got convoluted drama, we got Easter eggs that range from Mordecai to Big Bird to Neon Genesis Evangelion, and we got fat shaming. Lots and lots of fat shaming.
¿Qué? ¿Cómo fue que me dijiste?
¡Gorda!
Needless to say, I was confused. In my opinion, this character isn't fat. So why the constant shaming? Is this a cultural thing? Am I missing something here? I have to know more. Now, it did not help that this movie was only in Spanish and does not have an English sub. So I took to Twitter, or I guess x.com now, which totally does not sound like a degenerate website.
I feel dirty.
I asked my Twitter about Regue Chicken, and a bunch of people from Latin America were like, oh, that movie. Gringo, you don't want this. Stay away from it. With a 1.8 on IMDb, and hearing the death rattles of Spanish-speaking YouTubers who came before me, I made it my mission to understand the full context of this movie. And I did so by paying a professional translator to provide an English sub for Regue Chicken. Now I could finally have my questions answered. Why does Latin America fear this movie? Why does it have such low ratings from critics? Why was this character fat-shamed? And why does Latin America have such an affinity for this particular type of character design? Well, let's just say that I got way more than I bargained for. But before we answer these questions, I want to give a quick shout out to this video sponsor, Factor. What is Factor, you ask? Well, it makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. For me, I am crazy busy. And with fall around the corner, I know it's only going to get busier. Holidays and end-of-year videos are on the horizon, so I barely have time to eat lunch. But that's where Factor has my back. I don't have to worry about running to the grocery store or doing food prep or spending a stupid amount of money on ordering in. Instead, I grab a tasty Factor meal, pop it right into my toaster oven, and in just 2 minutes, I'm chowing down and getting on with my day. Also, I am trying to do keto again, and Factor is helping me on that front. They offer keto options that are loaded with meats and veggies, but are calorie smart with around 550 calories or less per serving. I got the black pepper and sage pork chop. I got the chicken piccata. I got the garlic and herb chicken breast. All tasty and curated around my keto goals. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code SABERSPARK50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That is, once again, factor75.com or click the link below and use code SABERSPARK50 to get 50% off. Again, I legit love Factor, and I appreciate them sponsoring this video. So, go hit them up today. And on that note, back into Colombian chicken madness. So, what are the origins of Regue Chicken? Well, the movie comes from director, screenwriter, and producer Darío Armando García Granados, aka Dago Garcia. He's best known for his work in the Colombian film and television industry, and serving as the vice president of production at Caracol Televisión. Guys, I did my homework on enunciation for this video. I'm trying, I really am. If I can pronounce Ukrainian words, then by God Almighty, I can say Spanish too. Dago has an extensive history in filmmaking dating back to the 1990s, penning more than 30 telenovelas and series, such as It's Better to Be Rich Than Poor, I'm Going to Teach You to Love, and The Past Does Not Forgive. Telenovelas are Dago's bread and butter, winning him several awards for his work in the early 2000s. And through his company, Dago Garcia Productions, he developed many more, including what is essentially an animated telenovela. Yep, Regue Chicken. Now, many of us have heard of telenovelas before, but for those who don't know, they are Latin American soap operas, famously consisting of melodramatic storylines with major focuses on romance, suspense, betrayal, family conflict, and lots of twists. So I guess Dago stuck with what he knew and ran with the soap opera genre while squaring up with his first animated production. The melodrama, the flat archetypal characters, the twist upon twist, and feeling the dramas. And all animated by Conexión Creativa, whose portfolio mainly consists of very crude TV animation work, with their most well-known being Betty Toons. Now, it doesn't take much in comparison to realize Regue Chicken is much more refined and detailed. Though the rough edges in terms of consistency and design and motion definitely rear its face everywhere in the film, and many loops are blatantly about. It's an insanely confused and uneven ride. But does that make Regue Chicken worth a watch? You'll find out.
Solo más violencia y más muerte. Por favor, llegó la hora de romper el círculo y vivir como lo que somos, hermanos.
Hello, and welcome to the Los Pollos Hermanos family.
But before we get into the movie, I want to give a shout out to Miko from the YouTube channel Miko's Trash Can. Miko here is a Colombian YouTuber and provided additional information about the animated movie industry in Latin America and the series of events that led to the creation of Regue Chicken. Long story short, there were two Mexican animated movies that inspired Dago to pursue his own animated feature film. Una película de huevos in 2006, and Otra película de huevos in 2009. God, my Spanish is like Peggy Hill. I'm trying, I really am. Both were considered critical and financial hits in Latin America, and inspired others to follow with their own respective films. For Dago, he didn't want to stray too far from the egg formula, which is why his movie prominently features chickens. Also the music genre of reggaeton, which is why, you guessed it, this movie is called Regue Chicken. According to Miko, the film was a hit in Colombia, but is also looked down upon by many Latin American critics. Why? Well, you're about to find out.
What the hell is even that?
The story starts on an egg-shaped Earth, where there are anthropomorphic birds as far as the eye can see. At an orphanage, we meet Violetta, who is being scolded by her teacher about finishing an essay on what came first, the chicken or the egg. But Violetta is a free spirit. She doesn't care about education. She just wants to dance. She has a moment of exposition with her teacher as she is put to bed, reminiscing about her family and how all the women were chubby, which abruptly shifts to her dressing up, jumping out of a window, and making her way to a party. And then we cut to Gabriel, a scrawny bird who looks like a teenage Disney's Chicken Little. His dad, Porfirio, is giving him a training session on how to be a UFC cockfighter. I got to say the word, but I meant chicken. We then cut to them by their pool in their mansion, where Gabriel asks about why his dad likes to fight. I'm gonna struggle with this guy's name. Porfirio can only answer he just likes doing it, chalking it up to being in his nature and their nature by proxy. But as Gabriel brings up his grandfather, Porfirio shuts down the conversation. Ooh, there's that telenovela, melodrama, and action. Shame is a key ingredient. Though it can be stated that the writing between Gabriel and his dad is a melodramatic reskinning of the tired dad disappointed in son for not being what he wants plot, which is also a lot like Disney's Chicken Little. The two also highlight a rather thoughtful back and forth about Gabriel's mom divorcing his father. Not gonna lie, this was a genuine approach. Although he is still the stereotypical pushy father, as he wants his son to be a fighter, the dad still exhibits very fatherly traits that show a lot of respect and dignity, or at least more than you would expect, especially when later we learn his ex-wife, by the way, she's not dead, it's an ex-wife, leaves him for nothing short of the best, or maybe the most cartoonish Donald Trump analog. But I guess with like red Don King clown hair. It's an interesting combo. Oh, we're coming back to Violetta's plot. By the way, get used to the choppy pacing. So we see her dancing up a storm at a club amongst the looping dancers and getting checked out by her guy friend who won't make a move. The club scene showcases some of the reggaeton music, but for a movie called Regue Chicken, it strangely has very little to do with reggaeton music, at all. It's just used as a poorly ADR background music track and nothing more. Fittingly, and abruptly enough, a biker gang then appears to crash the party and says that they don't like the reggaeton music at this reggaeton music club. They want rock. Who are they? Why are they here? Does this matter at all? Nah, it doesn't. The movie doesn't care. Violetta just gets right up in their faces to tell them off. But this no-nonsense gal is set off when the biker calls her gorda! Look, she's got a pear-shaped body with a pencil-thin torso. Is she curvy? Yes. Is she fat? I don't think so. I even asked Miko if this is a cultural thing in Colombia, and she said no, that Violetta is not considered fat by their measures either. If anything, I think it's more about an artist who wanted to design this character in a particular way, and also a writer who put too much of a fixation on calling Violetta fat. This is not Red Shoes with a point to its fat shaming. It is simply just fat shaming.
¿Ya era gordita como yo?
Todas las mujeres de tu familia han sido rellenitas.
¡Le salió defensora la gorda!
¡Qué bobo! Y luego de ti, gorda.
Back to Gabriel. He sneaks out of the house to play piano for some owls, as one does. And then we see Violetta bailed out of jail and being told that she's being booted from the orphanage and to go live with her uncle. And then with a tearful farewell to her teacher and totally ignoring her guy friend, she gets on a bus and takes off to her new life. Okay, back to Gabriel again. It's the night of the anticipated cockfight, but not before the weigh-in. No, seriously, look at these beefcakes. I bet they weigh 250 pounds at least. What? Yo, my lunch weighs more than that. While waiting for the fight, Gabriel sits with his mom and his stepbrother, Emiliano, who belittles him and calls him a chicken for not liking to see his dad fight in the ring. It's truly an unmanly thing, deserving of the deepest scorn. Oh, you're crying because your dad's being beaten? Watch him, you wuss. Also, in the context of this reality, insulting someone by calling them a chicken? That doesn't make sense. Wouldn't that be the same thing as if I saw a person upset in my world? And I'm like, ha, oh, little human, boo-hoo-hoo, expressing emotions, how human of you. Yeah, maybe I should start doing that from now on. Being a bully, that is. Give me your money, viewers. Put it in the bag. Put it in the super chats, where they call them. I'm just kidding. Buy my plushie, though. Links in the description. All right, back to it. A melodrama is taking place. In the locker room, we find that Gabriel's father's rival, Joe Shalan, is talking to his manager, Claudio, Gabriel's soon-to-be stepfather. Oh yeah, you're about to find out. Who, by the looks of it, already has an evil and not well-thought-out plan. So Claudio wants his fighter to murder Parifio in the ring by lacing Joe's spur with poison. The reason why he's doing this is explained in his 4-step plan. Step 1. Kill Gabriel's father using the deadliest poison administered in the middle of a widely televised fight where anyone can see it happen and easily be recorded via, say, a telephone or the literal camera filming the event. Step 2. Set up Gabriel, a 14-year-old boy, to fight against Joe Shalan, a 30-year-old man, where Joe will then poison him the same way he killed Gabriel's father. Step 3. The sequel for Chicken Little 2 is released, subtitled Chicken Little Dies. Step 4. Profit. Now, this may seem like a reference to the South Park meme, but honestly, that is pretty much the premise of this plan. Claudio talks about his plan as if he's gonna gain so much prestige and money from Gabriel's father's death. He even has a secret folder, and you can tell it's a secret folder because it says secret printed across the cover. Just in case for the final twist if Claudio wants to leave incriminating evidence, Frankly, this scheme makes zero sense. Claudio already appears wealthy enough to afford a mansion, private tutors, and trainers for his kid. He also manages one of the most prolific fighters in cockfighting. And he even somehow, and this is never explained, mind you, got Gabriel's mom to fall for him and divorce her compassionate, supportive husband, who's also like a lot more ripped compared to this guy. So the question I have to ask is the following. What more does Claudio seek to gain with Porifio's death? It honestly makes more sense if the plot had him kill Porifio's previous manager to then recruit Porifio to his stable, because objectively, we can see the fight. Claudio's fighter is like pretty trash compared to like Porifio. But then like, hey, if you want to make it even like more of a melodrama, Claudio could have had like laced Porifio's spurs without him knowing, framing him for the murder of Joe Shalan, then come up with a convoluted way to get him to fight his own son, Just spitballing some ideas around, but it wouldn't make a lot of sense in a telenovela, plot. It fits well with the nonsense. But this is the reality of what we're up against, and it's also what we're watching here, so just deal with it. So, Claudio's, stupid scheme leads into this fight. I guess it also, leads into the awful audio mixing of this movie. For a movie touting to showcase music, you'd think they would work out how to record hits that didn't sound so quiet and non-impactful. Listen to the punching here. Gabriel actually missed the killing blow since he couldn't stand watching his dad fight, only to come back to the arena to see the tragedy unfold. Then, in a smelly locker room, all sprawled out and with detailed facial expressions, Daddy Chicken dies. We then cut to Violetta being dropped off in the middle of nowhere. This is abruptly paired with Gabriel's dad's funeral, as Gabriel, heartbroken, leaves it to sit and cry on his own. And even though Violetta was in the desert, she is now by a beach, just so she could run into Gabriel and comment on how men don't usually cry. This movie truly has it all. Body shaming to women, emotion shaming to men, and possibly some kind of commentary about the selfishness of the wealthy. Or not? Guess we'll find out. Anyway, Violetta apologizes long enough for Gabriel to reveal that the uncle she is looking for is Gabriel's stepfather. It even warrants a dramatic zoom. She arrives to meet Claudio, I guess Uncle Claudio, and Gabriel's mom, and she is given a warm welcome by Gabriel's mom. Yeah, Claudio does not give a damn. Claudio has no interest in raising his sister's kid. At all. He doesn't care. Oh, by the way, the film doesn't explore what happened to the sister, apart from Claudio being a bastard to her when she was a kid. I guess when they're both kids, right? Maybe we're supposed to infer something, but he's such a jerkwad anyway, so if that was the case, it would fit the melodrama. He was a jerk back then, he's a jerk now, and maybe he killed his sister. We never know. A scene later, Violetta talks about her dream of being a dancer, then eats until she is sick and needs to use the bathroom. While walking in the house, Violetta finds herself outside Claudio's office, only to hear him talking about how he wants to kick Violetta back to the orphanage. Luckily, Gabriel's mom would not let that happen. But she just kind of disappears from the movie after this? You would think she would put a stop to how cruel Claudio is to Gabriel and Violetta, but yeah, she's gone. Maybe she ran off with some other guy. So Violetta has to fight her own battles and gets into a one-sided beatdown with Emiliano after he calls her fat, which Gabriel just watches and does nothing. He just stands there. After being caught, Emiliano lies and Violetta is chastised by Claudio. Even though Gabriel was there and could have backed her up. Why did he stay quiet? I don't know. 'Cause he could. And then we have a heartfelt moment between Violetta and Gabriel.
¿Por qué estabas llorando en la playa?
Mi papá se murió hace 2 días.
Lo siento, no sabía nada.
Murió en una pelea y fue muy triste. Yo lo quería mucho.
Me imagino. Pero te doy una buena noticia. Puede ser triste y lo que quieras, pero sin papás también se puede vivir. Yo lo he hecho toda mi vida y no me puedo quejar. Así que ánimo.
This scene is equal parts tone deaf and equal parts insensitive and stupid. What follows next can only be described as a series of set pieces that don't drive the narrative. You have the three step-siblings being tutored, and the teacher talks down to Violetta, insulting her intellect, only to have Gabriel come to her defense now by turning the tables on the tutor by talking down to him philosophically. Cut to a brief scene of the trio training with their physical tutor, where we need to exert the idea that women can't be fighters like men. Basically, trying to reassert the notion that somehow women are the inferior sex, only to have Gabriel postulate that throughout history, there are plenty of examples of women who have challenged that notion. He even drops some names. Cleopatra was the Queen of Egypt at age 19. Marie Curie was the first person to receive 2 Nobel Peace Prizes in different fields of science. And even as recently as 2001, Jutta Kleinschmidt became the first woman to win the Paris-Dakar rally race while competing alongside men.
Jutta Kleinschmidt ganó el París-Dakar, compitiendo hombro a hombro con varones.
Doesn't have really anything to do with the movie, but there it is. The main plot point is Gabriel trying to change from being a coward to becoming brave. Like, there isn't really a theme of women compared to men. It's just kind of a one-off scene that abruptly ends. I guess the goal is to try and loop in Violetta's ability to dance and use it as a parallel to being a fighter, but it is weakly done. Firstly, by every character blatantly stating that Violetta should be doing hen things, without explaining what hens do. And secondly, showing that dancing can be attributed to fighting could be easily summed up with have good footwork, which is fair enough. But it seems like there could have been an even stronger way to tie this in, especially during this scene, because after Violetta beats Emiliano, again, she is booted out by Claudio. And since Gabriel's mom no longer exists, nothing can be done to really stop him. And then Claudio recounts his secret plan on his phone, in his house, with the door open, right after talking to Gabriel, who just left the room. Shocking absolutely nobody, Gabriel is able to hear every single thing from Claudio's plan, from the murder of his father to the planned murder of himself. And not once during this entire time does Gabriel ask, what did mom see in Claudio to leave my dad? Also, where's mom? So, with Gabriel hearing his stepfather's plans and Violetta being thrown out, the two decide the next best thing to do is run away. And given how things are looking, it's not the worst option. So the two hop on Gabriel's motorcycle. Yes, the character whose whole everything, from body language to design, is meant to invoke nerd energy, is apparently secretly cool as he rides a motorcycle and as an added bonus, has a dope-ass aviator jacket. So on the journey of self-discovery, we get some scenes of blooming step-cousin romance. It's not Colombia this film comes from, it's Alabama. It's weird, to say the least. And then you got Gabriel with some flashbacks. It's here we learn that Gabriel looked even more like a Disney's Chicken Little, and also his grandpa's falling out with his dad. Hold on to the Chicken Little thing, because there is a bit of a wraparound towards the end, I promise. So Gabriel's grandpa used to be a renowned fighter like his father, but also a secret composer. So yeah, Gabriel's grandfather, once he retired, took to writing music and dancing for plays like Swan Lake, which I guess in this universe would be called Human Lake, I suppose. This is how Gabriel bonded with his grandfather and learned how to play the piano. However, the two felt that this must be kept a secret because it was so shameful to do, I guess. Not entirely sure why, but given he is retired from fighting and moving on to different venues, really isn't out of the ordinary. Oh, an old person playing the piano? How weird. What is out of the ordinary is when Gabriel's grandpa comes out of retirement promoting a comeback to the ring, including renting out the space in the literal fighting ring, and then doesn't fight. He does ballet. You know what's weird is that the audio mixing is so bad at this point in the movie that it doesn't even sound like the audience is upset, because the whistling implies they're enjoying it.
Are you saying boo or boo-earns?
I was saying boo-earns.
Although I can't blame them if they're upset. I'd be upset too if a prize fighter was marketing a comeback tour only to then show up and do ballet. That's false advertising. After this stunning feat of stupidity, a grandpa decides it would be best to become a hermit, completely leaving his family, friends, and disappearing from society at large, never to be seen again. And that's why, if you're a fighting cock, you can't do anything smart. Because you'll write a ballet, falsely advertise it, and no one will like it. What's the lesson here? After that, the two make it to Violetta City, where they meet up with their barely memorable friends. It's like roughly an hour into the movie, and we see the one boy in the group, like Kike, still has feelings for Violetta and resentment towards Gabriel because of how close he is to his cousin. Well, step-cousin, but it's still weird. So they head into town, repeat the first act again, but now Gabriel's there. They go to a club, they booty dance, they have some milk and cookies at the bar, and then the same punks from before show up. But this time, the punk leader tries having a showdown with Gabriel, who tries to talk his way out, and people laugh at him. Wanting to avoid fighting an idiot over a stupid reason? How human of him. This pushes Gabriel over the edge, leading to a third act falling out with Gabriel and Violetta. And then, Gabriel, while driving the whole night, finds a person on the road, only to be caught in an ambush by a different pair of punks to steal his bike. And then Violetta shows up. How did she know where Gabriel was? Or better yet, how'd she get there? She has a helmet, but there's no bike. I guess she just manifests behind this guy. It's an open stretch of road in the middle of nowhere. I can teleport there too. And also, how does she even sneak up on them? Well, then it turns out that Violetta knows this guy, where in her past, she helped him avoid juvie by taking the fall for him after he stole test answers. The movie poses what Violetta did as a righteous thing. Truly, that was the best move on her part, as it can be seen, because the guy is still doing crime and is robbing people. Such a pointless sacrifice. And then, after a peace was made and the friend flies off, oh, by the way, apparently the birds can fly in this universe, just now finding out this scene. But then Gabriel and Violetta leave once more, and perfectly, expertly, coincidentally run into Gabriel's grandpa. Not that dramatic, as Gabriel just needs to talk to his grandpa on what he wants. And he does that by going to Claudio and challenging his guy to a fight? Wait, what? Okay, let me see if I can figure this out. Gabriel now wants to be a fighter and get revenge and takes off his glasses, like the librarian, being hot cliche, and now is buff and wants to get revenge for his dad by getting into the ring and fighting? Okay, I think he has a plan. Strap in, folks. The third act of this movie is insane. Gabriel's plan, step 1. Make out with his step-cousin. It's very important. Step 2, instantly grow a toned body. I'm not joking. It's like a cliche. He takes off his glasses and boom! Chicken Boy has some muscle mass and definition. Now, you would think there would be a training montage, but not really. Again, Violetta danced with him and talks about dancing and feelings and physical skills, but it's incredibly brief and doesn't really explain how Gabriel got cut before the fight. Oh yeah, step 3, to fight the professional 30-year-old UFC fighter, the very same one who killed Gabriel's father. It's a well thought out plan. Oh, also Violetta gets kidnapped by the obsessed friend. He gets her and calls her fat, because that's what happens. Try to keep up, folks, come on. We're moving, the plot's moving without you. Oh, it's moving all right. Oh God. So Gabriel, using the power of dancing that he learned from Violetta for 30 seconds on screen, has his opponent pinned down. It wasn't even a fight, he destroys this guy. But again, confusion. I thought the whole point of Gabriel's character was that he did not want to fight. He was dancing up to a certain point, but then he just blows this guy out of the water and has his claws in his throat, and he's like, I'm gonna murder you!
No, Gabriel, no lo hagas. Por favor.
And by the way, more confusion. Why are they talking about killing as if this is par for the course? Is this literal cockfighting to the death? I thought this was like chicken MMA, not some chicken hunger game. Here I thought the dying at the start was like a fluke, but apparently it's often? Then why the poison? So I guess the real problem was that they killed Gabriel's dad with poison and not with their own razor-sharp spurs? But hey, maybe we're missing the point here. Or maybe, just maybe, Regue Chicken has like 15 plot points and none of them connect together. It has nothing to do with reggaeton music. The narrative is melodramatic, but is cut leaving behind narrative buildup and giving no flow to the narrative at all. Several plot points and characters just vanish and reappear with little rhyme or reason. And you can say the biggest thematic push of the movie is for Gabriel and Violetta to feel okay and not conforming to their societal norms. With like Gabriel being a fighting cock and Violetta being a hen. But Regue Chicken never illustrates what that means. What being a hen means for Violetta and why dancing doesn't fit with her societal role. And for Gabriel, he just fully conforms to that societal norm to make people listen to him. Just spewing out philosophical drivel afterwards to pose like that was the whole point? Doesn't work. The only consistent plot points in this movie are Violetta's on the dance floor. Yeah, I made my joke. And what animated movie would be complete without a dance scene at the end? Yeah, the movie's over. I bet you blinked. It's over. Claudio lost. Who would have saw that coming? And then Violetta and Gabriel hook up with their step-cousin kiss end scene moment. Seriously, movie, we did not need this, and you know it. They did not have to be cousins. Overall, Regue Chicken is an uneven movie. It has its strongest character moments when Gabriel displays his intellect and thoughtfulness, making philosophical talking points in his chicken version of a TED Talk. But the movie's completely unfocused in terms of all of its other characters and storylines. I was waiting for Gabriel to uplift Violetta and validate her values and goals. That she can be a dancing hen and doesn't have to be a normal hen, whatever that means. That Gabriel listens to her and sees her as a person with potential and not valued for just her body or being a woman. The fat shaming though? Guys, I have no idea what to make of that. And neither does the movie. It served no purpose whatsoever. If it was a joke, it was a bad joke. Now for Gabriel, I was expecting Violetta to boost his confidence, to validate him when it comes to being a strong pacifist. One who could use dance, taught to him over the course of the movie by Violetta, as a way to be smart and agile instead of brutish and violent. The movie was so close to achieving this, but it got distracted with other silly plot points. It's like the movie dipped its toe in the water of that plot point, but then ran away saying, that's enough. Now, as far as the animation goes, I dig it. It's not perfect, but it's competent and oddly hypnotic. There's something about these character designs that hold my attention, even if they look bizarre and sometimes ugly. I also like the variety of character designs that range from buff UFC roosters to chicken dancers to anime, all of it, and Big Bird too. There is a genuine charm to this movie, despite its confusing story and characters. One that isn't nearly as bad as online ratings imply. Now, I've seen some truly terrible animated movies, and Regue Chicken is far above that trash. But I will say this though, I need to watch more animated films from Latin America. They are so hungry to have their voices heard, and are really pushing the needle. Miko told me about The Other Shape, and yeah, that is definitely on my radar now. Might just make a dedicated video talking about the history of animation in Latin America next year too. And hey, maybe for other countries on top of that. There's more to the animation world than just America and Japan. Hey, maybe this can be a new series for me. A deep dive about the history of animation for other countries. That sounds kind of cool, but not as cool as Gabriel on a motorbike. I'll never be that cool. Wait, that's right, it's a step cousin holding on to him. Never mind, I'm cooler than him.